Welcome back to part 2 of our devotion, Being Comes Before Doing, because what we do is always determined by who we are. We're seeing this in the Beatitudes. We've seen this pathway toward this life of victory, the Spirit-filled life, in the first 3 Beatitudes. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, who realize their abject spiritual poverty apart from Christ. Blessed are those who mourn, who are burdened about it and concerned about their neglect. And then blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who then come under the control of their master, surrender their will to the master's will. That gets you to the door. Then the next beatitude, then we see the passageway into the Spirit-filled life. It says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Here is a promise that those who are being filled with God's Spirit are hungering and thirsting after righteousness, and at the same time being filled. You know, a thirsty man, a hungry man, is an humble man. When I was pastor at First Baptist Church in Dallas, we had our big rescue mission downtown, still in existence, Dallas Life, and we would feed 2,000 people a day there and sleep 400 people a night that were living on the streets. Often I'd be down there during the noon hour, and I'd see folks lined up outside that building to come in for a luncheon meal. And oftentimes I'd see a man, maybe with an old greasy baseball cap rolled up in his hand, his head bowed, standing in that line, rolling that cap. A hungry man, somebody that's really hungry, is an humble man. And that's the passageway into the Spirit-filled life. Blessed are those, Jesus said, who are hungering and thirsting after righteousness, for they shall be filled. We have the promise that we can be filled with all the fullness of God by confessing our sin to Him, by crowning Christ the Lord of our lives, and by claiming that by faith. He said we could be filled with His Spirit. And so once we've entered into that passageway, surrendered our will to His will, asked Him to fill us with His power, then the rest of the Beatitudes simply show us the proof that issues out of this life of blessing, this life of fullness, this life that knows Christ in me by His Spirit, which is the hope of blessing. The next beatitude says in verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the merciful. You show me a man who realizes his total poverty-stricken condition apart from Christ, who's burdened about it, who comes under the control of a master, and who hungers for righteousness, and I'll show you somebody who shows mercy. You know, Susie always reminded me when we were raising our kids that if we're going to make a mistake, let's make it on the side of mercy, not on the side of judgment. The first proof that issues out of someone being controlled by the Spirit of God is that they show mercy. They have mercy toward others. And the promise is, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. When you give mercy, you receive mercy. In fact, some of us so piously pray the Lord's Prayer, saying, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I don't believe we really mean that. I don't think we want God to forgive us like we forgive other people sometimes. But if you're being controlled by the Spirit of God, the first proof of it is that you will show mercy. Then the next beatitude says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the pure in heart. You show me a man or a woman who realizes their poverty-stricken condition in Christ, who mourns about it, who's burdened about it, who comes under the control of Christ, who's entered into the Spirit-filled life, and I'll show you somebody with a pure heart. You show me somebody who hasn't done that, I'll show you somebody that doesn't have a pure heart. Purity of heart is one of the proofs that issues out of a life that's controlled by the Spirit of God, who lives His life in us and longs to live His life through us. And then the next beatitude says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be recognized. They shall be called the sons of God. I love this beatitude. It's an issue. It's a proof of the Spirit-filled life, is that we'll be making peace with others. We'll be living in reconciliation with others. And note the blessing Jesus pronounced. He pronounced a blessing on the peacemakers, not the peace lovers. These are those who are promoters of peace. These are those people who take the initiative and go out and make peace And you know what happens when we are peacemakers? The people will recognize that we're children of God. And there's one other proof issuing out of this Spirit-filled life. He said, "Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for so persecuted the prophets who were before you." One of the proofs that issues out of a life that is controlled by the Spirit of God is that we might meet opposition. He said, "Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." Here we have an opportunity to identify with Christ as we go forth. You see, being comes before doing, because what we do is always determined by who we are in Jesus Christ.